Last year was a tough year for you, and I understand that. But just imagine that 12 months from now, you're looking back on life and you have absolutely smashed it. You have found the perfect life partner. You have found a career that lights you up and excites you. You've got in the best shape of your life. You've traveled to that destination that you've always wanted to see, and life is continuing to get better for you. That's exactly the position that I want to be in 12 months from now. And I'm hoping that I will make a video 12 months from now on all the progress that I've made over this year. Now, there are 7 principles that I am going to follow to get where I want to go, and I wanted to share those with you today. This is as much a video for me as it is for you. And so, without messing around too much, with being respectful of your time, let's get straight into the first rule. The first rule is exercise. I cannot stress how important this one is. Health and exercise are going to be the absolute foundations of whatever you want to build on top of it. For me personally, there's a direct correlation between my mental health and the amount of exercise that I do. And the minute my mental health starts to suffer, I ask myself, have I exercised recently? We have this tendency to overcomplicate things, to try and make issues deeper than they are, and sometimes we just need to move our bodies. When we look after ourselves, when we're feeling fit and healthy and purposeful and strong, we are able to look after not only ourselves, but the people around us, the people that depend on us. Everything starts with your exercise. For me, I love going to the gym. I love lifting weights. I love the discipline that comes with that. I love the routine. I love seeing the progress as well, seeing your weights go up every single week. But you may not be into the gym, and that's absolutely fine. Find something that works for you. Maybe you want to go out and explore the world a little bit more, get into hiking. Maybe running is your thing. Maybe you want to get into squash. That's a really fun one as well. And there's also a lot of research that squash or racket players are smarter or something like that. I don't know, look into it. Another one I thought of as well was skateboarding. I remember in my kind of mid-teens, Tony Hawk's was a massive thing and everyone was into skateboarding. Whatever it is that gets you out the house for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, every day ideally, but even if it's 2 or 3 times a week, it's better than nothing. But you will notice immediately this huge difference in your mental health. And as I say, exercise is the absolute foundation, really, of building a life that you want to live. Following on from exercise, the next rule is diet. Understand that if you are going to put this strain on your body, if you're going to break down muscle fibers by exercising, that you also need to build them back up by filling your body with good nutrition. What helps me with this is to understand that really my body is a machine, an incredibly complicated one, but luckily one that I don't really have to think about too much. I just have to fuel it correctly. Just like this car that I'm in, if I were to put junk fuel into this car, junk diesel into this car, it wouldn't run right, and eventually it would break down. And your body is a machine just like this one, but much more complicated. Understand that if you're putting junk food in, you're going to get junk out. You're going to feel lethargic, you're going to feel tired, you're going to feel depressed, you're going to feel anxious. We live in a world now where it is so easy to grab convenience food, and eating can seem like such an inconvenience when we have such busy lives. But understand that the half an hour that it's going to take you to prep a meal is going to give you far more hours back in terms of your overall lifespan. And also something that I've been experimenting with recently is batch cooking. So now I cook 1 hour 2 or 3 times a week, and that provides my meals for the rest of the week. I don't have to think about it too much. There are all sorts of ways that you can get into this, but diet really is the building blocks, is everything that your body needs to function and to run well. And if you want to make this year the best year of your life, then your body is going to need to be running at optimum. If there's one tip that I can offer in this department, it's just not to overcomplicate it. There is so much diet advice out there, but we don't need to overcomplicate things at all. For me personally, I'm just going to try and eat more natural foods and less processed foods. That's not to say I'm going to cut out all processed foods. I am a human. I'm going to indulge from time to time, but if 90% of what I'm eating, or 80 or 90% of what I'm eating is natural and unprocessed, then I'm going to be in a pretty good position. When it comes to drinking, like, drink 2 to 3 litres of water a day, and that's it, you know. And you might be into your sodas, your caffeinated beverages, whatever it might be. And I don't think there's necessarily a problem with that, as long as they don't constitute the majority of what you're drinking on a daily basis. Read the labels of the food as well. So much food now is, I don't even know if it can be classed as food. You know, you read food labels and there is stuff in there that has clearly come from a lab, and you have to ask yourself whether putting that in your body is a wise idea. So again, not overcomplicating it, but when you read the labels, the fewer the ingredients, the better, really. Like I say, don't overcomplicate this, but understand that whatever you're putting into your body is going to be what you get out of it. The next rule is to start taking life more seriously. And this is something that I had been very bad at in the past. I learned very quickly when I got into secondary school that I would get lots of attention if I was to joke around. And I applied this sense of jokiness, this sense of not taking things too seriously to all aspects of my life. Aspects like my finances, my career, and my health. And as I got older, I realised that those things were actually pretty important, and if I'd taken them seriously in the first place, that I'd be much further ahead in the years to come than I was. There were some pros to not taking life too seriously. I would often not get too stressed about things, and when I didn't get stressed, I was able to think more clearly about a situation or a problem and come up with a solution. So I think there is a balance to be found. There are certain things that shouldn't be taken too seriously, certain things that we need to understand aren't as big a deal as our brains would make us think. People's opinions is a very good example of that one. But there are certainly things in life that we need to take seriously, that things that really matter and that deserve to be treated with a sense of purpose and discipline. And for me, those things are my finances, my health, my relationships, and probably other things that I forgot to mention. So take life seriously. Rule number 4 is to learn to manage my money better. This is a bit of a follow-on from the last step. I never took my finances too seriously, and so always had this attitude that I would always be able to earn more money. And so I would often go on this roller coaster of having money, not having money, having money, not having money. And it's great when you're up, but when you're down, it can be incredibly stressful. My goal for this year is to remain on a steady incline, if I can. There are some fantastic resources into improving your finances. Where I first got started, I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the information there is still relevant today as much as it was back when it was first released. And it just gives you the basic principles of building wealth and the difference between rich people and poor people. And weirdly enough, it's not money that separates them. So that book is definitely worth a read. And then follow advice from people that have the thing that you want to have. This is a really common problem on YouTube, is you've only got to look through your browse features for a small moment, and there's always some young lad that's telling you he's making 30k a week doing some AI business, whatever it is. But understand that you don't really have any proof. Sure, he could be doing that. It's possible that he is making 30k a week doing this AI-driven business. I don't know enough about the industry. But the point is, I also don't have any proof that that is what he's doing, and therefore taking advice from him on how to build my finances may not be the smartest solution. Look at people like Warren Buffett or Ray Dalio, I think his name is. If you don't know, Warren Buffett is one of the most successful investors in the world. And if you're going to learn a thing or two about generating wealth, he might be a good person to start with. So take your finances seriously. Pay yourself first is another principle that you'll learn in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that is the art of setting aside some portion of your disposable income into savings and investments. But that is my plan for this year, is to build myself up a nest egg so that I'm comfortable, so that if this car, for instance, were to ever break down, then I've got money in the bank to pay for it. If an unexpected bill comes up, or a tax bill, or speeding fine, that I don't have to panic about how I'm going to afford it. Finances give us this, or having money in the bank, having finances gives us this buffer and this confidence that we can take whatever knocks life is going to throw at us. Rule number 5 is to be more consistent. Again, this has been a big problem for me in the past, and something that only for the last couple of years I really invested in and have really noticed a huge difference. I guess my attitude towards self-improvement was always huge effort and then losing patience and doing nothing at all, and I would be on this roller coaster constantly, a bit like my finances in a way. What I've learned over time is that being consistent, making small effort but doing it every single day, pays far more dividends than making massive effort and then getting burned out and not doing anything for a while. Being consistent is the recipe, I think, for success in every area. I remember there's a podcast, I've forgotten the guy's name now, but he talks about the fact that most people won't succeed in life simply because they don't know how to deal with the grind. They won't be able to get through the boredom that it takes to be successful. And that is exactly what it's like. Going to the gym is a really good example of that. Some days you just don't want to go. It's boring. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And you have to get over that and push through that in order to see the results that you want. And I think that's the same in every single area of life, whether that's your health, whether that's your finance, your relationships. Sometimes you do just have to go through the grind. You have to be consistent for those results to pay off. So rule number 5 is to be consistent. Rule number 6 is to grow your network. This is another major thing. I think humans are designed to be a social species. We are tribal. We're able to grow and become the most successful species on this planet because of the networks that we formed, the tribes that we formed, and we were able to have each other's backs and protect each other and rely on each other's knowledge and communicate. And we forget that sometimes. You'll often hear people like Tony Robbins saying that your network is your net worth. This is often applied to finance, but I think it's the same in any area. If you want to be a happy person and everybody in your life is miserable, don't you think that's going to be pretty difficult for you to do? Surrounding yourself with people that have the things that you want is going to make it much easier for you to achieve that thing. Seeing that other people already have it is going to make it feel much easier. When everyone around you has the opposite of what you want, what you're trying to move away from, it's going to feel like an uphill struggle. Understand that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you are spending time with people that are, let's say, unsuccessful financially and you want to grow your net worth, then it may be time to consider finding people that have money, that know how to manage money, that know how to get money and to build money. You might say it's hard to meet people, especially when you start to get a little bit older. And I've made plenty of content about where to find like-minded people, but I would start with things like men's groups. Just go online, search men's groups in my area. There's one that I go to in the UK called Andy's Man Club, and they are nationwide. There are local networking business meetups. There are Dungeons and Dragons board game community meetups. Whatever it is that you're into, there are people out there that have concentrated themselves into one place so that you can integrate yourself in there and learn from them and surround yourself with the things that you want to have as well. The last rule is to meditate, and this is something I feel is almost as important as exercise and diet. It is again one of those cornerstone principles. Now, I actually went to India a few years ago and practiced a type of meditation called Vipassana, but you don't have to do anything that extreme. The benefits of meditation are to simply put a space between a thought and an action. There's a lot of information about the ins and outs of meditation, the different types that are out there. Don't let the spirituality side of things put you off, because having that small gap between a thought and an action is invaluable and has helped me no end over the years. The difference between a day where I've meditated and a day where I haven't are huge, so do not underestimate the power of meditation. I hope these rules are going to empower you to create the life that you want to live. These are the rules that I have learned through trial and error over the last couple of decades of my life, and I certainly hope that they're going to be useful for you as well. So let me know in the comments what came up for you, and I'll speak to you in the next one.